Alright, so I have done a pencil sketch. The main change that I have done is I have moved the vanishing point more towards the left. So it's not right in the center like in the reference photo, it's more towards the left. I decided to focus on the buildings for this painting, so I just took only this bit in my pencil sketch, and that's pretty much it for changes when compared with the reference photo. And another thing that I have done is I have added a tram here, so it looks a bit odd with the tram lines without the tram, so I have put in a tram as well. Apart from that, everything else is as it is from the reference photo. So let's add some color and see how it turns out. So I'll get started. I'll spray some water. And maybe a bit of manganese as well. Need a lot of this. And the large cloud will come somewhere here, so I'll leave a bit of space for that. And it's pretty warm in here, so I'll put that in next. I'll use a bit of raw sienna and maybe a bit of yellow ochre as well. And take that warmth into the buildings and into the street as well. And there's kind of a glow here from the lights of the shop, so I'll leave a bit of white there, and so that I can put in the warmth later in there. And I'll just fill in the rest. Yeah, pretty much everywhere. So I'll just fill in. This needs to be a lot darker. I'll put in the dark later. Right, so this looks good. And a bit of cleaning up there. So this is where the lights are visible. So I'll wet that area a bit. And add a bit of quinacridone gold. And a bit of raw sienna. And maybe even a bit of burnt sienna. So just to get that glow feel of a light inside. So that looks good. It needs a bit more of the gold in there. Yep, that looks good. And I'll just lift a bit of pigment there. Yeah, that's better. And same kind of warmth is visible here as well, so I'll put that in as well whilst we are on it, and maybe a little bit here as well. It's a painting dominated by cold hues, so blues and greys, and pretty much the whole painting is full of cool colors. These warm colors needs to be evenly spaced or placed in like properly planned places so that it looks good. You can't just, because it's once I complete the painting, these areas are going to like pop more, and it's very important that they are placed nicely. So that about looks good for the sky, sorry, for the cloud, and we'll start. Yeah, so it can't be too dark as well, because the buildings need to be darker than the cloud. So let's clean that up before I proceed here. I'm not really worried about the building here because it's anyway going to be darker than the cloud, so I'll try to get a nice shape for this cloud. Yeah, and a bit of grey here as well. So I remember taking this reference photo like several years back, so I don't know why I have never painted this. This is one of the suburbs closer to the Melbourne city. I don't remember exactly which suburb it was. Right, so that's good enough for the cloud. We'll let that dry. So what I'll do next is I'll slowly start putting in the buildings over here. So I'll paint this area first, and by the time this would be dry, then I'll start from here and then merge both these shapes together. And once this area is done, I will take the dark colors further down and bring them all the way up to here, and then we'll complete this area. And yeah, that's my plan of action for the moment. So I'll start with the dark colors here. it's wet, I'll just add a few water droplets just to create some nice effects. Yep, that looks good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this the dark colors all the way here. Then I'll paint the rest of it separately. I'm using bohong paper for this demo. So I've started using that paper quite a lot these days. So it's quite good. And pretty much painted all the darkest areas of the painting, except the few details that need to be added later to the car. So it's a bit different approach that I took. I usually paint the darks as the last step, so that usually helps me to get the tones right and fix areas that were too pale and all sorts of things. But today I don't know the exact reason. It's just I started painting the darks and then I finished all the darks in one go. There's no specific reason for that. I could have done the darks last as well. Bit of a darkness here, just to gradually make it into a lighter color. That's good. And that's pretty much it for the darker colors. So I'm going to put in the buildings next. So the buildings are definitely darker than the cloud, but they need to be lighter than this particular area. Right, so I mix the royal blue with all the darks that are already there in the palette, and we'll start over here. So you can see that it's like several buildings, like simplified into one shape that gradually changes tone from over here all the way up to here. So that's kind of the simplification process that we need to be aware of when painting complex shapes like this. Right, so that's it. So next I'm going to put in the tree on the side. So I'll use a bit of ultramarine blue and a bit of burnt umber to come up with the dark color. I do have a rigger brush. I'll use that. the good thing about using a rigger brush, it'll like give like natural looking branches compared to like a normal synthetic round brush. And a few big branches coming on this side as well. And now I'll use a bit of lighter color to put in a few more branches. Yep, I think that should be enough. I'm going a bit overboard with that. We'll leave that. Right. And I'll take these tram lines further and just turn them to this side. And this. Yep, so that's all good. Right, what next? We'll move on to the cars now, and just realize that there's a bit of what we call some warmth over here in the window. It's reflecting some light, so I'll put that in, and yep, that should be enough. Yeah. Right. Now we'll move on to the cars. So at this time of the day, you can clearly see that the windscreens are much darker than the color of the body of the car. So I'll paint the body of the car first. We've got kind of a taxi here, and it's nicely below the warm colors that we have painted here. So we'll make use of this warm, and we'll take it a bit further down and put it into the car as well. The other two cars, I'll just paint them in pale blue. They should be good. Right, so I'll use the royal blue for the cars. Right, so that's pretty much it, and we have successfully merged these cars with the dark we painted earlier. So just smooth these areas a bit, and that looks good. Now a bit of spray of water, And I'm going to put in the lights of the car. So I'm just going to use a bit of gouache. Some people don't like using gouache. That's all right. And this lights of the taxi as well. We'll put in this pole next. So it's kind of it's coming through here. So what I'll do is I'll just use a clean brush and like try to lift some pigment. Didn't quite work, but that's all right. Then what I'll do is the rest. And the rest of it comes out from the top, somewhere here. Somewhere here. Yeah, it's better. Right. And a street lamp over here. Right. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to put in the details in the buildings before it completely dries off. This needs to be darker. Nice. And a few windows. And a bit of dark here. A few more windows here. Street lamp. Right. And I'll just ground this tree a bit. It's like floating in the air, so that's good. Like a few power lines going horizontal. So I'll start with the tram lines first. So there's one like going this way. I'll put that in, and that goes like this. I'll scrape a bit of paint, right? And it connects nicely here and goes this way. And it goes in a zigzag fashion towards my horizon. Nice. So that's the tram lines done. And time for some power cables. I think that should be good enough. I'll put them in much darker on this side and few taking it away from the pole as well. I think that's good enough for the, what do you call, the power lines. And I'll just add a few branches. So hope you enjoyed this demo. What I'll do is I'll upload the reference photo and the finished painting, and the link to the reference photo and the painting will be there in the description of the video. Just feel free to have a go and see how it turns out. And before I finish, I'll just put a post there. So I don't want, this is like a too big a shape of white there sitting there without really connecting with the rest of the painting. Now it's much better. Yep. Right. Okay. So I'll just dry it completely and see how it looks with the white border.